Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vardhari Yasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasura Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Banachari Yamunatira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Vijana Vallabha Giri Vardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Banachari Jamunatira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki jai, Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai, Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakti ki jai, Go Premanandi. Yeah, as much. Probably, that'd be a good idea. I have a drinking problem, so yeah, and water. It's water. I have a problem. I need to drink, and there's no water in there. That's my problem. No water problem. Drought. So this morning we're reading from the beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 18th chapter, text 19. We gave class last, you know. It was a send-off verse, and I saw that picture sent out to everyone. Just the Madunga left on the outside.
Oh, he sent that to you too?
Yeah. Did you see a little video clip of him and Balaram dancing in the classroom with all the 5th graders? That's pretty funny. Who's that teacher? Who is the teacher? The fifth grade teacher must be someone comes to the temple or something like that. Or
Well, it's like
okay, they're pretty open.
yeah, it's studying history, and they're on video now.
Oh, they got a blast of. Okay, it's ecstatic. So text 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamadhyariyat. Now, I'm not in a position to ask or tell anyone to do anything, but there are two big buckets of deity laundry that need to be folded, and if anyone's feeling a little tired during class or inclined, they could maybe grab them and fold them during class. I've been sitting there for 2 days and just sit. Yeah. No, he just washes. He's the dobi, he's not the folder. So. And Damodar, is he coming to class? Is he? He's around, okay. So here's the verse. Prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpana mayim siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpana mayim siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpana mayim siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpana mayim siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya. Wonderful devotees like to chant. Prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpanamayam siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya. Prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpanamayam siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya. Got 2 more to go. No one's getting breakfast till everyone chants. Prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpanamayam siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya. Prakalpya vatsam kapilam siddha sankalpanamayam siddhim nabasi vidyam cha ye cha vidyadaradaya. Synonyms: prakalpya, appointing; vatsam, calf; kapilam, the great sage Kapila; siddhaha, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka; sankalpana mayim, proceeding from will; siddhim, yogic perfection, nabasi, in the sky, vidyam, knowledge, cha, also, ye, those who, cha, also, vidyadhara adayaha, the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka, and so on. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. After this, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka as well as the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka transformed the great sage Kapila into a calf, and making the whole sky into a pot, they milked out specific yogic mystic powers, beginning with Anima. Indeed, the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka acquired the art of flying in the sky. Okay, purport. The inhabitants of both Siddhaloka and Vidyadhara Loka are naturally endowed with mystic yogic powers by which they can not only fly in outer space without a vehicle, but can also fly from one planet to another simply by exerting their will. Just as fish can swim within the water, the residents of Vidyadhara Loka can swim in the ocean of air. As far as the inhabitants of Siddhaloka are concerned, they are endowed with all mystic powers. The yogis in this planet practice the Eightfold Yogic Mysticism, namely Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. By regularly practicing the yogic processes one after another, the yogis attain various perfections. They can become smaller than the smallest, heavier than the heaviest, etc. They can even manufacture a planet and get whatever they like and control whatever man they want. All the residents of Siddhaloka are naturally endowed with these mystic yogic powers. It is certainly a very wonderful thing if we see a person on this planet flying in the sky without a vehicle. But in Vidyadhara Loka, such flying is as commonplace as a bird's flying in the sky. Similarly, in Siddhaloka, all the inhabitants are great yogis, perfect in mystic powers. The name of Kapila Muni is significant in this verse because he was the expounder of the Sankhya philosophical system, and his father, Kardama Muni, was a great yogi and mystic. Indeed, Kardama Muni prepared a great airplane, which was as large as a small town and had various gardens, palatial buildings, servants, and maidservants. With all this paraphernalia, Kapila Dev's mother Devahuti and his father Kardama Muni traveled all over the universes and visited different planets. Umagyan Dimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksulunminitam Nena Taismai Sri Gurve Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchika Patrubhashcha, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Patidanam Bhavani Bho Vaishnavi Bho Namo Namaha. So with your blessings and good wishes, I'll try to say something. Yeah, thank you, sir. After this, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka as well as the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka transformed the great sage Kapila into a calf, and making the whole sky into a pot, they milked out specific yogic mystic powers, beginning with Anima. Indeed, the inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka acquired the art of flying in the sky. So, a few things to be said here that I can think of. Every living entity actually has a mystic power. I remember once hearing a lecture, this word charisma. This word charisma you hear? It means something like that. Yeah, everyone has something. Charisma. Everyone has some kind of, you could say, mystic power or something amazing. We can come back to that. But even the most, you could say, abominable form of life, they have some kind of mystic power. A slug. They can walk so slow. You couldn't walk as slow as a slug. Right? Or flying. The example is given like birds. Sometimes you see a little gnat. Or what do they call them? Midges on the East Coast. Little tiny flies or something like that. no-see-ums. They even call them that. They're so small. They're so small. They had to manufacture new screens for camping tents and so on because they're little tiny flies. They can go right through those little screens like that. So they're called no-see-ums. But they're flying. And what is it? Someone was telling me the other day we were watching some hummingbirds. They're the only birds that can go backwards and forwards, up and down. Birds can't. No other bird can actually go backwards, but hummingbird can go and backwards. Like that. So you think about it. All these, even that wonderful book that was published called what is it by Torchlight? Yeah, Nature's IQ. All these amazing mystic powers, abilities, and activities of different living entities that are mind-boggling. How is it possible? Of course, we know super souls there in the heart, but every living entity, every species of life has been given some type of a mystic power. And what's described here is that the residents of Siddhaloka, Vidyadharaloka, they have these abilities. They can mystic potency, eight mystic cities are already there. They're already there. They're born with them. That must mean you come out of the womb, you can just kind of like do whatever you want to do. They just have these mystic powers. Well, she's got some mystic powers too. He's trying to control her mind. She's trying to control his mind. Like that. So, every species of life's got its problems. So, and that's one point is being brought out here. Is we'll come around to it. Is that the real mystic power? Just like Prabhupada was asked, what his mystic power was back in the the year of the yogi and so on. All these yogis are coming, and there's so many. What is it? Who was the one? The kid yogi. Forget his name. Guru Maharajji. Okay, yeah. That he'd poke your eyes and you see the Brahman, or something about your taste of nectar. Just tricks. But some of them had some power, be able to control people's minds and so on. But they asked Prabhupada what his mystic power was, and he pointed to all the devotees, that he's turning, fallen conditioned souls into devotees. That's the real mystic power. That's the great mystic power. So these living entities in this universe, they naturally, that form of life, you have the mystic powers, and you have yogis on this planet who are working so hard, especially in previous ages, to acquire those same mystic powers. And they're all material. There's nothing spiritual, intrinsically spiritual about any of these different mystic powers at all. Now, one of them says, and by the way, the last one is freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Right? You're still stuck in this material world, but you have some advantages. Everyone in the material world, material life means I'm looking for some advantages. The advantage of wealth. That's an advantage. Right? I remember I worked for this Dr. Levin. Many years ago. He had a greeting card company, metaphysical greeting card company, and he used to do vegetarian cookbooks. I worked there, and I think Parashak did a job there, and a few other devotees. Many years ago, back in the 90s, he was downtown. And he used to come to the temple with his girlfriend and chant and dance here in Hawaii. And he was a physician in ER for many years, and he just gave it all up, and he just was a businessman, quite well to do. And he told me once, he said, having money not having money is a problem, but even having money is a problem. It's a problem also. When you have a lot of money, it comes with its problems. So everything in this material world comes with a problem package also. There's nothing in the material world that doesn't have a problem package. So the point I'm making is that, what is the point I'm making? Is that everyone's aspiring for different things, whether it's money or beauty, advantage. Advantage, just like I remember seeing some weeks ago, a little blurb on it was a documentary on plastic surgery in, could have been, I think it was in Seoul, Korea, not Taiwan, Seoul, Korea. It's the plastic surgery capital. Yes, because I remember Narendra Soni, I was talking about him, he does business there. It's like the plastic surgery capital of the world, and it's expected that everyone will get plastic surgery. A little something here or there just to give you the advantage. Excuse me, and they're interviewing the person doing the documentary for KPBS or whatever, I was noting that, some of these people, they all look fine. Actually quite nice. And some are quite beautiful, but still they're coming in because a little change here and there gives them an advantage because it's such a competitive society. You may get hired because you're 0.65% more attractive than the other applicant. So, and it's understood, like you walk down these different streets, that's all it is, plastic surgery, and people, everyone gets something. Well, I don't know. I just know there probably is one section, just like in LA or whatever, there's a section for all the plastic surgeons and so on. But it's what is the word? Ubiquitous? All over. It's just that's the culture. And the thing, advantage. If I look better, or I'm more educated, if I get a few more degrees, then not only be more respected in society, but I'll maybe have some economic advantages also, because as you get degrees, you're paid more. And so, what's the difference with the yogi? He's thinking, if I have some mystic powers, then I have some advantage. Then I have some advantage over other people. Yeah. It's the same mentality. It's much more subtle, you could say, much more unique. It's much more powerful. Just like there's attraction for that one yogi who passed away years ago. He looked like, when I first saw a picture of him, I thought he was a Jimi Hendrix. He was a big, like, afro. There's a big place in South Indian. Yes, that's the one. And, he apparently, I don't know if it's true, because I heard different stories, but he was able to manifest vibhuti, different things, and like they had that ability, which is called prapti-siddhi, which means you get it from somewhere else, and then you give it to someone. So someone's missing it. Right? If he hands you a pile of gold coins, someone else is missing their gold coins. Like, where'd my gold coins go? Some yogi must have got them. So that's what it is. It's prapti-siddhi, because they're able to go through different dimensions. Like that. Like Prabhupada saying, the yogis, he was explaining, they fly on the rays of the sun. You just get on the ray of the sun and go. And just there's these different, just like the jet planes. When you fly east and west, there's different altitudes you fly at and different winds. If you ever notice your timings, it usually takes a little more time to fly back to SanDiego than when you leave across the country because of the headwinds and so on. But they try to take advantage of different elevations. There's different currents of wind. So also there are much higher currents, and different devatas, they fly in different currents. I remember reading that once Hanuman was given the right to fly in any current he wanted to. There's a certain reserve, like first class plane on it. You have to be on a certain level to fly in this current or that current. So, but as a Vanar, as a devotee of Ram, he was able to fly wherever he wanted to fly. And just pick up that current and go. Like that, very, very quickly. So, but the mentality is the same. I will have some advantage over other people. I can impress them. Just like you imagine if you had that ability. How so many people you can impress, that you can do this and can do that, and so many different followers. Many times these yogis, they have so many different followers. Oh, he's so powerful, he can do this, he can do that. Or just like this one we mentioned, create gold. They can create some gold and give it to you or something like that. So, these things, for a devotee, they're considered a distraction. Anything which was, it would be a distraction. I remember hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that Prabhupada once said, or maybe on different occasions, this is one of the mistakes Jesus Christ made in his preaching, his miracles. To be able to cure someone, or to walk on water, or this or that, then people start thinking that's the criteria for a spiritual master, a spirituality, and that's the real thing. Because we automatically default to someone helping us solve our material problems. I have a disease, you spit on me or touch me, and my disease goes away. Some yogis do that, right? They spit on you and your problems go away or something like that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that I heard about that one. Like that. So then you're Maharaj, you can, like Prabhupada said, they always come and they ask for Ashirvad and so on. Why? I get my blessings and all my sins will go away and my family will be happy. That's why you approach a guru. Get all your material problems solved. So that's the difficulty if people perceive that's what a spiritual master is supposed to do, is solve all of our material problems. Well, that's true, but how is all our material problems solved? The only way all our material problems are solved, we go back home back to Godhead. They missed that point. So people can sometimes think that, oh, can your spiritual master walk on water? Can your spiritual master cure the ill? Can your spirit, no. He can bring you back home, back to Godhead. Well, that's okay. But no. Really? Okay. I'm not looking for that right now. Who was it who said that? Ask Prabhupada. Ask Prabhupada. Oh, it was Giriraj Maharaj. When he first met Srila Prabhupada, he was studying all these different things. And the gist of the conversation was, he asked Prabhupada about, what's the real path and so on. And Prabhupada said, it depends on what you're looking for. Made that point. If you want to become God, that's a certain path. If you want to become the servant of God, that's what we're teaching. And then he explained to him how foolish it was to think you're God or wanted to become God. He had that realization. But that's how Prabhupada first presented it. It depends on what you want. That will determine what path you take. So what are you really interested in? So do you really want to get out of this material world, go back and make a final solution, go back home, back to Godhead, to be with Krishna? That's the guru you're looking for. That's the real mystic, you can say, mystic power, in the sense that that's what we're looking for. And it is mystical. How is it that how we can be delivered from this material existence? It's mystical. The potency of the holy name, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, the mercy of the Vaishnavas, the mercy of the spiritual master. It's all quite mystical that a conditioned soul, bewildered for millions of lifetimes, somehow or other, meets a bona fide spiritual master, is initiated, gets the chanting of the holy names, and can go back home, back to Godhead in 1 life, 2 lives, very, very quickly. It's very mystical. That's the mystic potency of the Lord's mercy and kindness, Daya. Daya Nidhi, an ocean of mercy, so kind. That's the real mystic power, you can say. But for Krishna, he's not exerting anything on one hand. He's Yogeshwara. What does Yogeshwara mean? Do you know that? Jamal, Yogeshwara. Yeah, he's the master of all mystic perfections, all yogis. That's Krishna, he's Yogeshwara. So any of these mystic powers. But his real mystic power, you could say, is his delivering the conditioned souls. And that's the real mystic power of the Vaishnava, that they're giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. And so just like in the second part of the purport, it mentions that Kapila Muni was a great yogi. He was so powerful, he created just one of his things he could do. He could do all kinds of things, but he just created a whole flying city for his wife and him. And they just traveled all over the universe, and it had servants on it, and not flight attendants, but beautifully decorated servants, and lakes and ponds, and all kinds of buildings, and everything. Okay. All right, according to this, small town. Small town. Okay, with palatial buildings, servants and maidservants, various gardens, like that. It was as large as a small town. Small as a large town. Okay. And, that's quite amazing, isn't it? He did all that, just traveled around. And then he came back. And that was just out of his mystic power. But he was a devotee, because we see in his life previous to that and after that, he wasn't using his mystic power for any, he lived in a very, very simple little cottage there on the bank of Bindu Sarovara, like that, and very, very simple, just meditating on the Supreme Lord in the heart. Otherwise, why would Lord Kapila Deva appear to him if he was just an ordinary mystic yogi who's trying to compete with Krishna? And so, but he used it like that for a purpose, a good purpose, to prepare the arrival for Lord Kapila Deva to make his appearance. And then after all of that, he went back to his yogic practice and so on. So, one lesson from this is that there's so many amazing and wonderful things in this world, mystic powers. They're all coming from Krishna. Amazing abilities. Just like you look at the skyline of downtown SanDiego. What an endeavor to build those buildings. You ever think about that? That's the mode of passion. It's amazing that they can do such a thing. All that steel and cement and glass, and it goes up for 10, 20, 30, 40 stories, It's unbelievable. And people live in there, and there's water, and there's, toilets, and there's air conditioning and heating and all these different things. What an arrangement. And then every day, how many hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of truckloads of food have to go into that city to feed all those people, because there's no agriculture, right? There's no agriculture, and all the restaurants and this and that. What an arrangement. It's amazing. It's astounding. But to become attracted and bewildered by that, that's foolish. Actually, for the devotee, we think, what a horrible way to live. What did Prabhupada call those buildings? Pigeonholes, right? It's like living in little pigeonholes. Sometimes birds, they live in a cliff or this or that, and they have little holes they all live in. So he compared it to that. What a horrible way to live. What a horrible way to live. But, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, but it's quite mystical. So people have so many different abilities, but next to devotional service, it's nothing. And I'll end with a story. I just started reading in the Jaiva Dharma. I don't have all the names, but as you know, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, different chapters are different stories about personalities living in the Navadvip area and then eventually coming to devotional service. So there was one very renowned logician, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his earlier days as Nimai, logic and argument. In this one, he had gotten all these different titles and so on, and anyone he approached, he would wipe the floor with them in an argument. No, and people were afraid of him. They didn't get in a conversation because he would just no defeating him. So he's quite proud, very, very, very proud, and had a lot of enemies. Other scholars who were always embarrassed by him and so on, and. There was this one envious person who wanted to kill him because he wanted to be number one, you see. And what he did, he went to the crematoriums and started worshipping some ghastly form of Lord Shiva and Kali, on dark moon nights, and chanting all these mantras, and did it for a long, long time, and all of a sudden one night, clouds all dark and this and that, and the wind picked up, and sure enough, right in front of his eyes were all these ghostly personalities, and in front of Lord Shiva and Durga in this ghastly form. And at first he was like, ah! Then he kind of calmed himself down, and he offered his prayers, and he explained why he was praying. And that form of Durga, probably Kalik Bhairav or something, said, you don't have to worry about this person anymore. He'll be gone in no time at all. Don't worry about him. Don't think about killing him or we killing him. Just don't worry about it. He'll go away. Okay, it all disappeared. So he's very, very happy. So what happened was the very next day, another scholar in town asked this great scholar, did you ever study the logical arguments of Nimai Pandit? He was the best logician in Navadvip has ever seen. Have you ever studied his work? He said, no, I haven't. He said, it's the best. So I should study it. So he somehow or other found different books of Nimai's Pandit's writing and so on, his logical arguments. And he became enamored by all of Lord Chaitanya's arguments. And he started glorifying Nimai Pandit as the very best logician the world has ever seen, and just started getting more and more into it and wanting to hear different things about this person, Nimai Pandit. And so, and then asked his grandmother, who was a contemporary, and she said she remembers when she was a little girl, and then she started going into ecstasy, remembering seeing the kirtans of Nimai Pandit and so on, and she's seeing her mother's reaction to that question and this and that. And she also mentioned about Mahaprasad, that actually Nimai had come to their house once, their house of Brahmins, and her mother cooked this very nice spinach. She really liked spinach, and just hearing all these different pastimes. And what happens, he gradually became attracted to Lord Chaitanya as Lord Chaitanya, not just as a logician. And he sought out the great sadhus and started serving them. And he completely gave up the whole thing of logic and nyaya and argument, and became a humble Vaishnava. because he saw that that's the great potency, that's the great power in this world. The greatest gift that anyone can have is devotion to. No, this other scholar wanted to kill him. That's what it was, and made all these prayers, and he was thinking some diabolical plan to get him out of the picture, but Durga said, don't worry about it, he's going to disappear. And that's how he disappeared. He just gave it all up, said, I'm not interested, it's just a waste of time. Being the big logician and just arguing with everyone and having all that gyan, that knowledge and logic, nyaya. It's a waste of time, like that. And to become a humble servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. So that's the power we're looking for. The power of being powerless in the hands of Krishna and his devotees. So are there any questions or comments on this verse?
I listen to a lot of Prabhupada tapes. This lecture keeps coming. The vulture. He can fly very high in the sky. 5 miles, Prabhupada says. And he has incredible vision, forget 2020, 21, something, that's 20 times better than anything we can imagine. And he can pick out any little, corpse that's down there from so high and then come down. So he can fly very high in the sky. You cannot do that. You cannot see from so high. But what is his end result? His end goal is to find a corpse and eat. Brahma said, eat the corpse. So what is the use of all these mystic powers? And then the other thing that came to mind was that famous verse by Prabodhananda, Kaivalyam nadakayate didashapur akasha pushpayate. All of these material powers and benefits higher planets, like sky flowers. You don't care about them. That's the thing. Thank you for giving class. I understand it's been a very class.
Last Tuesday.
No, I'm just talking about in general. They didn't have anyone to give class at each other. Yes. I'm out of town.
Raise your hand if you think Ramapati.
Come on, Ramapati.
Well, everyone
Raise your hand if you think
Janardhan.
Janardhan should give class.
Majority rules.
You got the next 3 names. Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.